Hey, greetings and welcome to the first ever video of the new Magic Taco MTG channel. I'm Taco. Thanks for joining us. Today, as my first video, I'd like to talk about a deck I've been working on for a while now. This is an Esper Eldrazi deck. Revolves around exiling things and then processing them back. Originally, this deck started out with a black-white Eldrazi deck that I had found online and was kind of messing around with, and I started to go through what various processing cards there are that were good. So I looked into Wasteland Strangler. That was part of the original black-white deck. It's a very popular card. It's used a lot in Modern. Does see some play. And I do like that this works really well in the current format, especially with a lot of the aggro decks, vehicles floating around, stuff like that, in order to kill some of those lower creatures. But the main thing I found was that I was going through the various processing cards, the card I forgot about, which is Ulamog's Nullifier. Now, this card is essentially, to me, originally I saw this, I was like, that's basically another Spell Queller. And I thought, okay, if I can combine this with Spell Queller in the field and work this out, I think this could be a good source of kind of a mid-rangey, flash flyer that, is an answer to a spell. And that combined with a lot of the good cards right now, like Declaration in Stone, the Spell Queller, obviously, Anguish Unmaking I really like. Void Shatter is a really popular card right now. And just some of the other exile stuff, I thought that Ulamog's Nullifier is something that could see play. So I kind of turned it into more of an Esper deck. It's definitely a lot of controlness. It's been working. I've been working on this deck for quite a while, going through a few different variations, and I'd like to go through this for you. So let's start with the land base. Obviously, we're playing Eldrazi Displacer, so we do need some colorless land in order to do that, and it's a 3-color deck, so I think Aether Hub becomes it's definitely one of the best multicolored lands in Standard right now, and it's our only 5-color land that's really able to see play, which is why it's such an expensive uncommon right now. So we're playing 4 of those. And then we got Choked Estuary. Let's see, looks like we're running 3 of those. I recently added one a while back, looking for 26 land. When I had the deck running on 25, it seemed like because it had so much that it does on its own turn, as well, I need to be able to hit those land drops so that I can be able to do what I need to do on my turn, as well as keep mana up for answers. So Choked Estuary, definitely we're running as a 3 of. Concealed Courtyards, obviously fast lands are very good. We're running 3 of those. We have 5 islands in, 1 plains, 2 port towns, 2 Parish Streams, 2 Shambling Vents, 4 Sunken Hollows, and 1 Swamp. So far, I haven't really had a problem with this mana base. Things come into play untapped when I need them to come into play. I haven't really had a problem with having the deck have really slow starts. It's usually pretty good dealing with the early untapped land drops in order to get out your Anticipates and have your early answers. So with that, we move on to the 2-drop spells. We have Anticipates. We run 4 of those. Mainly due to the fact that I was having some issues kind of finding some of the cards I needed. Anticipate's really good at seeing a few extra cards. You can fetch land with it, or whatever you happen to need at the time. And it's because of its low mana cost, I think it works out really well, which is why I decided to go with 4. Deck and Stone, easily one of the better removal spells in Standard right now. We got 2 mana sorcery, exiles a creature, and all of the creatures that share the same name. Given the format right now, we need to run this because it works really well with the whole concept of processing in the deck. But I don't like giving them clues sometimes. So far it hasn't become a real issue, giving them the extra cards. But I cut this down to 3. I tried running 4, and I felt it was just too much. Grasp and Darkness we're running as a one of. It's nice to have that bit of instant speed, -4/-4 technology. And I was running it at 2 for a while, and I felt like the double black, and it didn't really work along as well with the theme of the deck. So I kind of cut it down, and it's been working pretty well since then. Negates, pretty standard in main deck spells right now on control. Negate's very important. I think it hits a lot of stuff, so we're running 3 of those. On our 3-mana spells, we have 1 Anguish, 1 Making. I prefer to run this as a one of. The life loss can be a problem against the aggro decks. They seem to come out of the gate swinging pretty fast, and with the vehicles, it can get pretty quick in the damage race. And Anguish of Making hurts you a lot in those matchups, but I do need some main board answers to non-creature spells. And Anguish of Making works with the theme of the deck, and then also is able to hit, whatever I need to hit at the time. So we definitely, I've been running 1 of those. I like it. It's been doing pretty well. Eldrazi Displacer, obviously we want to run this in a deck like this. I was running it as 2 of for a while, which is great, but I found myself not using it as much as I would like to. Mostly based on the fact that a lot of the creatures in here need to process or have extra effects that they need to do in order to utilize their effect. So they need to have some sort of a source. And Displacer works well, but as a 2 of, I felt I was seeing it too often. And it was becoming kind of something I would see in my hand, and I'd get it out and not really do much with it. Ruinous Path, I feel, is pretty standard to run as a one of right now in the current format. A lot of Planeswalkers out there that are winning games and control matches. And I like the fact that we can awaken it late game if we need to, but it's mainly in there as it's a nice sorcery speed answer to things like Emrakul, as well as an answer to many of the Planeswalkers that are floating around right now. Spell Queller, obviously everybody knows how good this card is. 3-mana flash, 2/3 flyer that exiles a spell when it comes into play. Problem is, it leaves play pretty easy. It's a lot of spells out there that kill it right now. So it's less useful as it used to be. However, in this deck, I like to be able to get that instant speed exile and then maybe drop a Wasteland Strangler on my turn, get rid of the temporary exile, and Spellcrawler's basically done its job. Speaking of Wasteland Strangler, obviously 3/2 for 3 mana that kills a creature when it enters the battlefield. Most times this is going to do something. I really like this in the aggro matches. It does a lot of work, and is overall just a well-rounded card. I kind of like it. Void Shatter, this is pretty commonly used in the control decks right now. Being a colorless spell, it does have a drawback of being able to be countered by, was it the 1 mana, there's a 1 mana instant spell that counters a colorless spell that a lot of people are playing right now. But I feel it's worth the risk in order to get the exile. It can hit any spell, which is nice. There's no drawback to it. Like, I was running the blue and 2 exile target spell, counter target spell, exile it if their controller unless their controller pays 4. But I found that was too unreliable sometimes, and Void Shatter just seemed like the better draw, the better card to play. So we're running 3 of those. Glimmer Genius, easily one of the best card draw spells in Standard right now. There's so much value in this card. I want to run it as a 4 of, but I felt there were some problems with me drawing it too much and sitting with it in my hand. So I eventually cut it down to 3 and went with the 4 Anticipates instead. I was running 3 Anticipates and 4 Glimmers, and then I tried 3 and 3. Seems like 4 and 3 seems to be the well-rounded number and seems to be working well for me. Plus it fuels your Aether Hubs to get them back into colored mana and whatever else. A lot of good stuff here. With Mug's Nullifier, easily the main reason I ended up building this deck to begin with. Really wanted to use this card. I really like it. Sometimes it can be difficult. Make sure we get those 2 cards into exile. But every time this guy's hit the board, I felt like I've gotten value out of it. Sometimes I just play him just to get him out in the control matches. Either I'll run through a counterspell, or when I feel my opponent's holding something, I'll drop it at the end of the turn just to get a 2/3 flyer out there and maybe start doing some beats, which is, won me quite a few games. Ob Nixilis, easily a good 5-drop, solid Planeswalker. I have won games with his emblem. It does happen mostly in the control matches. I like the ability to draw the cards, the ability to destroy the creature. We all know how good this card is. Jace, we run as a 1-of. Virtually along the same lines as Ob Nixilis. He can handle creatures, he draws you cards, and his emblem will basically just shut off your opponent from being able to do a lot and help you win the games. Torrential Gearhulk, easily one of the best Gearhulks. I'm still kind of partial towards Combustible. I like Combustible's ability. I have a lot of fun with that in my Marty Reanimation deck, which I will eventually be doing a deck tech on. It's kind of a modified version of one that I found online. We'll go over that eventually after I do some playtests with this video. But a 5/6 flash, people calling him Fatcaster Mage, which I think is hilarious. There's so much value you get out of this card every time you play him. Absolutely love this guy. Run and Sorin is a 1-of in the main. I really like this, especially in the control matchups. Kills Planeswalkers, draws you cards. Sometimes you hit those, your Fatcaster Mage or your Planeswalkers, just deal them some extra damage, which is great. I've never bothered with his emblem. I'm not even sure if it's any good, and most people I've seen don't actually use it. Mainly for his first 2 abilities is really where you get the most value out of him. And that's it for our main board. I do love the way this is built. It's been playing out pretty well. It's gone through a lot of variations. I think this one has been the best one so far. Sideboard is where I'm a little bit unsure on. So far the sideboard's been working well. I know what's coming in and going, but I haven't really played enough matches with this in order to really get a true affinity for what the sideboard can do or what it should be. So far, this is playing. We're playing some of the cards I've seen played in a lot, and some of the cards I feel just are really good against the certain metas out there right now. Like Blessed Alliance, I really like. It's great. It can come in the aggro matches and save you some of that life total. It can come in the control matches, and sometimes it'll get down a Gearhulk or some other big beater that they need to swing with. I've seen it take out manlands. I've had a lot of fun with this card. I think it's really good, and definitely one of the better Escalate cards I've seen for an uncommon. It's very good. The second Grasp is obviously in there for that instant speed. There's a lot of things that you can do with this. I'm not sure I need to keep it in, but obviously it comes in against the control or the aggro matches and some of the mid-range stuff as well. I like having the instant speed, be able to deal with things like Avacyn and some other things that can be problematic. Transgress the Minds, obviously, you got the control matches and you have your combo matches. And it really helps to feel the deck in those cases as well. You can get your Wasteland Stranglers or your Nullifiers, a little extra feel for them. And so far, this is one of the best hand control spells in the game right now, I think. Or, well, in Standard, anyways. The extra negate, 4th negate, comes in the control matches. Very good to have some extra spell counter there. Lost Legacy, mainly for the combo decks. When you're dealing with things like Aetherworks and I can't remember the name of the card. The life deck. Lost Legacy can deal with a lot of the pieces of that. Some of the things that they do, the Eldrazi's, it's great to get out that 4 mana spell that bounces all of their artifacts so that they can continuously do their thing. One thing I have noticed in some of the games with my Mardu Hulk deck is I've seen the value in that particular match against the life deck, the life combo deck, Storm. I've seen the value in the White Hulk, the Cataclysmic. I've dropped that at the right times. When that drops, it just shuts down the deck, and they can't recover at that point in time. So I've been thinking about getting that into the sideboard. I might find some space for it, just to have for those matches. I think it could be really good. To the Slaughters, great against the Planeswalker matches, and you can easily bring it in against the control matchups as well. Or the aggro matches as well, to have a little bit extra creature destruction. The sacrifice is great, but mainly comes in against the Planeswalker matchup. I have seen some Planeswalker decks floating around, some Super Friends, stuff like that. Not very popular in the meta, but still a valid deck, and can cause some issues. Summary Dismissal, I've used this for a variety of reasons. I bring this in against the control matchup sometimes with the Planeswalkers. You can use it to shut off an ultimate. It's great against the Eldrazi and the Emerge decks. So, still a great, viable card, and I think it's a little underplayed. Some people do play it. A lot of decks do play it, but I think there's some decks that could be playing it that aren't, that I've seen. Fumigate, just basically having an extra Wrath is always nice. You never know when you're going to need one. And the life gain that this gives is pretty good. This is also great against the energy combo decks, the Infinite Thopters, stuff like that. They can go infinite on their turn, but you can at least gain all that life back. And the 4th deck in Stone. I like to bring this in against the aggro matches. I don't mind giving them a few extra cards, causing them to skip turns. It's usually not a huge deal. In the deck, it's more along the lines of being able to have the exile and, being able to fuel the Wasteland Stranglers and some of the other things, and this really goes a long way in the long run. So, but that's pretty much it. Thanks for listening to my first video. I'm going to be posting some playtests soon, and we'll go through that. I plan on doing 5 playtests with every deck. 5 matches. Post them, win or lose. And thanks a lot for listening. Feel free to post your comments, and don't forget to subscribe.